gonna present your project. Today is the last day for presentation.
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
But
You can share.
can you share your screen? Because I don't have it on this computer. I have it on another computer.
No problem. Okay, that's the solar system.
The solar system by Turkish Morani. The sun. Each star is a huge burning ball of gases that gives off heat and light. The sun is the closest star to Earth. It is average size compared to other stars, but enormous compared to Earth. It is 300,033 times the size of Earth, and it contains 99.8 of the mass in the solar system. Heat and light from the sun travel on average 92.9 million miles to reach Earth. The sun takes 609 hours and 7 minutes to rotate once on its axis. The surface temperature on the sun is 5,538 Celsius.
Now,
The solar system. Earth is one of a group of planets that moves in orbit around the sun. This is known as the solar system. However, there are many solar systems in the universe. Anywhere that a set of planets and their moons move in orbit around a star is an example of a solar system. Since ancient times, astronomers have observed other bodies called planets that moved steadily between stars in the sky. The four planets closest to the Sun are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. These are also known as the terrestrial planets. They are smaller and denser than the other planets and are made up of a metallic core and mantle crust. The outer four planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. They are also known as the Jovian planets. They are bigger and less denser, and each one has a liquid core surrounded by a thick atmosphere.
wait.
Asteroids and comets. Asteroids and comets are smaller than the planet. They are small. They are the remnants of the matter that forms the sun, planets, and moons of our solar system. Most asteroids in our solar system orbit along a path between Mars and Jupiter, known as the asteroid belt. Every now and then, an asteroid gets bumped off its usual path and may collide with one of the planets. Some scientists believe that the impact of an asteroid 65 million years ago caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Asteroids are usually big chunks of rocks, where comets are balls of rock, mud, and ice. A comet usually develops a burning tail as it travels toward the sun.
Yeah, like Halley.
The Earth's movement. The Earth is not positioned upright. Its axis is an imaginary line that passes through its center, between the North Pole and the South Pole. This axis is tilted in space at an angle of 23.5 degrees from the vertical, or 66.5 from the horizontal line. Rotation. The Earth turns all the time on its axis. It moves from west to east. One complete turn is called a rotation. The Earth's rotation causes day and night. The unequal length of day and night. The sun does not rise at the same time every day. This is because the lengths of day and night change at different time of the year. Look at the equator. Half the equator is lit up, the other half is darkness. This means that places at the equator have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. The seasons. All the planets in the solar system move in orbit around the sun. Because the Earth is tilted on its axis, one side of the planet is always tipped away from the sun, and the other side is tipped towards it. Because of this orbit, some parts of Earth receive more sunlight than other at different time of the year. This causes the seasons change because some parts of the Earth receive more sunlight than others at the different time of the year. Equinoxes and solstices. On 21st of March and 23rd of September each year, the two sides of Earth have days and nights of equal length. The solstices are on 21st June and the 21st of December. On the 21st of December on June, the Northern Hemisphere has its longest day and shortest night of the year, while the Southern Hemisphere has its shortest day and longest night. On the 21st of December, it's the other way around. The shortest day in the north and the longest night in the south. The solar system في Turkish astronomy.
Okay, thank you very much, Turkey. I believe you have literally covered the book, and that's nice, not bad.
Did you
Just
have
yes, you write it or you use an app to transfer it into writing. Yes,
the page 108 and 109 in social studies? There's a giant map. Is any of that gonna come?
no,
A map of the physical features of the world's continents.
no,
Okay.
just to illustrate. That's a lot, Turkey. Really, really a lot. So, what do you know about social discrimination in Turkey?
It's around all the world. It's everywhere. Racial discrimination is everywhere. It's sometimes. I did give you the source. On that end of the presentation, I told you the source is Wikipedia.
Alright, so simply speak to us about it.
Racial discrimination. It's everywhere in the world. It
Yes.
sometimes have effect on your job, on your healthcare. It's pretty much everywhere. Everywhere you go, you see racial discrimination.
What are the forms of social discrimination?
If you're black, if you're Middle Eastern in America, it's everywhere.
So, what are the forms? Okay, I'm from the Middle East, I'm traveling to America. How are they gonna practice racial discrimination upon me?
What, teacher? I cannot hear you.
How are they gonna practice racial discrimination upon me if I'm in America, for example?
How they practice it? You mean avoiding?
Yes.
How do they
No,
avoid
how
it?
do they make racial discrimination?
They make comments as you're not here, go back to your home.
Nice.
They think because they think because they're bigger, they're stronger. But is that's not true.
Next. Okay, Turkey. Turkey al-Shamran.
Thank you, teacher.
Oh, very well. So did anyone else make his project? Ahmad Said, Nawaf al-Balla, Osama, Saif, Saleh. I believe Osama sent the project, but he did not present it. That's four. Nawaf also made the same thing. Oh my god. Alright, so please open your books. 58, please. So before we start on page 58 about the verbal and verbal phrases, is there anything that you need to ask me about today's quiz?
About today's quiz?
Yeah, about today's quiz. You have quiz today.
No, teacher. I'm just asking, is it the last period?
Yeah, it's gonna be the last period.
Okay.
Alright.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to memorize every single rock formation thing? Is that actually what we have to do?
Like what?
The court, aretes, crevasses, medalla marina, snot, lateral moraine, drumlins, catalejo, esker, and a lot more. Potty holes, tributaries, waterfalls, and briding, and even more. Star dunes, arc, mushroom rocks, massas, pedestal rocks, oases, traversal dunes, hamada,
Yes.
barchan dunes, bote, wadi, and siaf dune. Do you have to know all of those?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
You really, you can't even read them.
So should have been given some more attention during the session.
What did you say?
Alright, so simply,
No, I mean memorizing them. Do I actually have to memorize all this? Because look at how many things there are. It goes on for like 3, 4 pages.
try.
One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages.
Okay. So simply connect the definition to the footnote.
But
Start
teacher,
with
yeah,
Adam
not
Musa.
too
Adam
much.
Musa. A very big hill and steep sides. Mushroom rock. Why would make a mushroom rock? Because of the wind, the arc, the same thing. You have here the star dune. The star dune. So dune means sand, and star because of the wind. The Stidal rock, on the other hand, a very tall column one like this one. The oasis, pretty easy. Hamada, a very rocky edge. Okay, the beauty, a very small type of mesa. So mesa, half a mesa. Mesa, half a mesa. Okay,
Teacher, pretty sure it's red or butte. Pretty sure it's red butte or butte.
I didn't want to pronounce the other one. For the rivers, okay, the source is pretty easy. You have the waterfall, much more easier. The tributaries, the pothole, drainage pattern, pretty easy.
Teacher, listen to yourself. You're reading so many words, and I have to memorize how it formed, what the name is, which one is which. What do you mean?
Next, to the photo. So what's the meaning of a water photo?
Are you gonna show the photo, or you're just gonna say the meaning?
Actually, I'm gonna ask only about the definition, and only I pro 3.
Teacher, will you show the photo, or will you show the words, like the potholes, round pot-shaped holes?
No, the definition. I'll give you the definition, and you must choose the meaning. But it's pretty easy. The ones I chose were pretty easy. Only 3 were chosen. So perhaps just concentrate while reading them. I know you're smart, you're gonna get that code. So, in your books, please page 58 if you have no further questions. We will speak about the verbals and also the verbal phrases.
Oh, and I have another question. The quiz ends at 1:14, but there's still kettle hole, drumlins, eskers, and blush marine. You cut the thing in half. Do we take 1:14?
The quiz ends in 1:14.
Yeah, that's what's written on the paper, but it's half of the page. It's like that. There's a giant mountain, and it's half of the mountain.
114, yes. I did not include any of these. Glaciers are not included. Okay, so only till 150. Fair enough.
Okay.
Alright, so regarding the verbals and the verbal phrases, again, you need to know that when you use some words in order to describe another or to add emphasis to another or even to rename some other words in the sentence, so we are changing the usage of these words. For example, in the verbal and the verbal phrase today, we'll speak about how a verbal is any verb form that is used in the sentence, but it's not as a verb, it's another part of the speech. So in this case, we will have a verb, but we're using that verb like an adjective or like an adverb, any other part of the speech. And of course, it's according to the sentence itself. We have many types of verbal phrases. We have the present participle, we have the past participle, and also the participle phrases. The most common ones are the present participle and the past participle. Present participle meaning adding ing to the verb. Present participle means adding ing to the verb. And past participle means the third form of the verb by adding d or ed or even it was a regular verb. So simply when I say the startling news is true, the startling news is true. So in this example, I use the startling in order to describe the news. So we call it a gerund. We call this verb, this present participle, a gerund. We're using it right now as a what? Startling in this sentence is used as what? A subject, a verb,
Adjective.
adjective, because I'm describing another noun. So I'm using the present participle one in order to describe a noun. So we are using this as an adjective. The same thing, past participle. The bladed fruit is easier to eat.
Is it peeled or peeled? Peeled.
The peeled fruit, the peeled one is easier to eat. Like when you peel something, you take out the outer layer, especially orange. So again, you are using it right now as an adjective. And the participle phrase, it's the same thing, but we add more information in it. Like potatoes kept in sealer can last all winter. So kept in a sealer, kept, that's past participle. And in a sealer, that's a prepositional phrase. Both of them are making the participle phrase. In practice number A, we are asked to identify participles and participle phrases. So, read each sentence, underline the participle or participle phrase in each sentence. For example, the boy standing by the water fountain is my friend Peter. So, standing by the water fountain is the participle phrase. Next one, in number 1,
Turning the corner.
turning the corner, I slipped on the ice. So we have turning the corner. Participle phrase or past participle or present participle. Turning the corner is present participle, past participle, or phrase.
The phrase.
Participle phrase. Number 2, not heavy.
Yes, teacher.
Number 2, please.
Okay. Garden sneaking into the theater. Sneaking into the theater.
So sneaking into the theater, ran right into trailer. So sneaking into theater. Again, participle phrase. Number 3, Hussein. Mr. Bashir's car.
Teacher,
Yes.
Mr. Bashir's car stalled because of an overheated radiator. Stalled until radiator.
No.
Stalled.
One word here.
Oh, it's stalled.
Mr. Bashir's car. That's the complete subject. Stalled. That's the verb. Because of a radiator. Which type of radiator? What happened to the radiator? So, because of the overheated radiator. The overheated radiator. So, we used overheated in order to describe the radiator. Consequently, that's the past participle one. And number 4.
Wait, so just overheat.
Yes. When we can, we eat canned.
Canned.
What type of meat? Canned one. So, canned. Amused by our antiques, Jim laughed at us.
Jim laughed at us.
No, Jim, subject, laughed
Oh no, wait, amused by our
at
antics.
us, prepositional phrase. But the situation,
Amused by our antics.
amused by our antiques, the participle phrase.
Snoring.
I was kept awake by my snoring sister. Oh my god, that's very often. So of course it's snoring because it's describing the status of the sister.
Hiding under the bed.
Under the bed, our kitty feels safe. So hide under the bed, and that's
Tattered.
the phrase.
Tattered.
The tatter banner still hangs on our front porch, so tatter describing the banner. Any questions so far? In practice number B, we are asked to read the sentence and then to write the participle on the provided and label it past participle or present participle, or of course a participle phrase. محمد أحمد الفالح.
Can I?
Hello. You're late. Hello. Yeah, you're the best. Safe Radi, are you still with us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, can you ask me?
The uncritical sound of the voice distorts me from my work.
Okay, the intruding sound of a voice distracted me from my work. So, look at the participle word here.
Distorted.
Distracted?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. But distracted here is a positive. You have the intruding sound of voice. All of this is the complete sentence. Distracted, that's the verb. Me is the object, and from my work is the prepositional phrase. So you have here in the complete subject, you have a word that is describing another one. So we have here intruding, it's describing the sounds. What type of sounds? The intruding ones. So intruding here is describing the sounds. So regarding to intrude, which type of participle is it? Is it present participle, past
Present.
Present teacher.
present? And number 2. Abdurrahman Nabil, are you still with us? Sana, Usama, Abdul Malik. Where is Zuhair? I did not hear him today. It's not here. نواف البلاع, مشعل, Khalid العتيبي, Khalid Al-Khalifa. Oh, Khalid Al-Watibi, you're here. Hello, Khalid. Did you make your presentations for the project? الملكي.
Can I answer?
Of course you can, Hassan.
The falling snowman. Falling is present.
Nice. The falling snow made for a lovely walk through the park. So we have fallen, and it is present part. And number 3, who can answer this one? Mine is Gabby, hid under the pile of a fallen.
Fallen past.
So we have fallen, and it's past.
Stolen past.
The police recovered my stolen bicycle, so we have stolen, and it's also
Extended past.
past. She pointed at me with her extended forefinger.
Extended past. Lightened past.
I was grateful for my lighting.
Lightened. Shooting present.
One and I
Shooting present.
shooting stars, so shooting stars.
Jutting present.
That's present. In the canyon, the prow looked up at me.
Jutting present.
So we have gotten.
Wrinkled past.
With no time to iron, I put on
Wrinkled
the
shirt.
Already answered. Go away. Frightened fast.
Last but not least, my frightened baby sister peeked out from the closet, so frightened.
MK has achieved a full combo.
Can I leave, teacher?
Just a second, I'll just say this and you can leave. So another method in order to just be able to differentiate between the present participle and the past participle is by first you will find a verb with an ing following a noun, and this one is identifying.
Find an adjective. That's it.
Yep.
Find something that looks like an adjective. That's it.
But not an adjective.
Should I go watch YouTube?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch YouTube right now.
Can I?
Hi, teacher.
Good.
Okay, bye.
Wait, we will watch YouTube.
No, bye. Cutting out. Cutting out. Cutting out.
whatever the day brings. Grammarly helps you communicate smarter. Verbals. Verbals are verbs that act as other parts of speech. Learning about verbals will help you master sentence structure. Here are some examples of verbals.
Milton wants to eat cookies.
The predicate or action in this sentence is wanted. The subject or noun that takes the predicate is Milton. Milton wanted. Eat is a verb, but in this sentence it's not functioning as a verb. Milton is not eating. Milton is wanting. And to eat cookies is the thing that he wants.
Listening to music makes me happy.
Listening is a verb, but in this sentence it's not functioning as one. Makes is the predicate, and listening is the thing that makes the speaker happy. The boys played for a cheering crowd in their minds. The predicate in this sentence is played. The boys played. Cheering is being used as an adjective to describe the crowd. These are verbals. We're going to be looking at three types of verbals. The first, gerunds. Gerunds are the ing form of a verb, and they're acting as a noun. Here's an example of a gerund. Calvin loves playing baseball. So what is the action or predicate in this sentence? It's loves. Loves is the predicate. Calvin is the subject, the noun that takes the predicate. Calvin loves. So playing baseball is a verb, but in this sentence, it's functioning in terms of sentence structure as a noun. It's a thing that Calvin loves. Infinitives. Infinitives always start with to, followed by a verb, and they act as a noun or an adjective. Here's an example of an infinitive.
The delivery man was waiting to drop off the package.
What is the action or predicate in this sentence? It's was waiting. Verb phrase, was waiting. The delivery man was waiting. So the delivery man is the subject, was waiting is the predicate. To drop off is a thing that the delivery man was waiting for. So even though dropping off is a verb, in this case, it is functioning as a noun, the thing for which the delivery man was waiting. Participle. Participle is an ing or ed form of a verb, and it acts as an adjective. Here is an example.
The baby, tired from a long day of play, cried without him.
What is the action or predicate in this sentence? It's cried. The baby cried. Tired from a long day of play is a participle phrase that is describing the baby. Since we're talking about participles, now is a great time to mention the infamous dangling participle. A dangling participle is when you start a sentence with a participle that does not refer to the subject. Participles don't always have to refer to the subject, but when you start a sentence with one, they do. So avoid using dangling participle. They will create glaring errors in meaning. Here's an example of a dangling participle. Steaming from the heat, the baseball player carefully sipped his hot cocoa. Take a second and think about what this sentence is actually saying. Well, it's clear that the speaker meant to describe the hot cocoa, to say that the hot cocoa was steaming from heat, and that the baseball player carefully sipped it. But the way that this sentence is arranged, the participle describes the subject, in this case, the baseball player. So steaming from the heat is describing the baseball player. This sentence is saying that the baseball player was steaming from the heat, not the hot cocoa. For example, what is the verbal in this sentence, and what type of verbal is it? First, we should identify the predicate. In this case, was playing. Who was playing? Polly. Polly was playing. We have an additional verb here, screaming. Screaming is not the predicate in this sentence. Rather, it is a verbal. And in this case, it's a participle. Participle is a verb that is acting as an adjective. Screaming is describing the crowd. So while screaming is a verb, in terms of sentence structure, in this sentence, it is functioning as an adjective.
Right, grade 9. Any questions so far about the verbals and the verbal clauses? I guess not. That's it for today. See you next session.